Public Policy at Walden University. And in this video, I will be going over step by step from the very first to the end. Show you how to use the ExpoFirst Tool. So let's get started. I'm on the website where you would actually find the information on how to download this tool. So I've taken you directly to the website. The link is actually provided at the top, the URL. And then as you go down, you see kind of the overview. Go over this a little bit more detail. There's actually a 2011 edition that's been more recently updated in the 2017-2019 chapters. So the ExpoFirst goes into the reason it's so important and really effective in understanding exposures and how exposures have an effect on the body is because it's going over these scenarios go over, and I'm going to go through this as I said. I'll walk through in a minute, but it shows user-defined scenarios based on route of exposure, the medium, receptors, time frame, and dose metric for whatever contaminant that you're thinking about. We're going to be going over formaldehyde, but whatever contaminant that may be. So let me go ahead and get to the demo part. That's the exciting part of this video, where we get to kind of plug in some numbers and see what the values are. So when you first download this, it's actually a zip file, and some people may have something to open the zip file with. Usually your computer has within it zip file openers, but zip files are basically files that condense large amounts of information or even file sizes. So this ExpoFirst tool, this is now on version 2.1. Make sure you're looking at and using version 2.1. And there's a reason I am walking you through downloading this, and you'll see this in a second. Let me double click on this. Give it a minute. So, I mean, this is not very appealing. You have a screen, a fourth of it is blue. Some things you have to do before we can get this to work. And actually, to be honest with you, sometimes it's something that takes time to know what to do. So this is why what I've done is I'm going to show you exactly how to make sure that you can get this tool to work. So the first thing that I would do is just enable the content. So the content is enabled. Once you do that, here's where it gets a little complicated, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen. I'm going to select Save As. Then you get this pop-up box, which you don't necessarily expect. All open objects must be closed, and you kind of think what to do. So just don't worry. Just hit yes, and then you'll look at this end. You hit end, and then now go ahead and save. So now you might have to enable content again. So now you're finally ready to actually use the tool. Before you start using the tool, If you don't take care of those 2 or 3 things that I told you about, then this tool would not work. And I actually could not get this to work until I realized that those boxes needed to be taken care of. So now we can proceed, and there's a couple of options on the left which are interesting to go through, and I would urge you to really look over all of them. The overview is really nice. Like I said at the very beginning, it's been updated in 2019, so you know, I would really go through all of that. Getting started, take a look at some of the getting started PDF, and it's telling you, it gives you a little bit of instructions. You could kind of give a cursory look on the instructions, but I don't think it will. I mean, it's actually a good document to go through. Honestly, it's 3 pages long, so I wouldn't spend too much time. But it is good to skim over this document before you go and use the tool. So go over this document and look at what some of the tabs are saying. So like tab 2. This is kind of interesting because the media choices for ingestion include water, food, and unintentional or activity related soil, soil dust, soil pica, geophagy, swimming. So this is referring to pica, and pica is actually something that you commonly see in individuals that are anemic, and so they'll just take ice and things, and sometimes even soil, things like that, due to the anemia. So anyway, proceeding onward, looking at media subgroups. Consumer type, gender, age binning, and I'm going to show you the binning in a moment. Population groups, other population groups including age and race and ethnicity, pregnancy, lactation, health status, socioeconomic status, geographic location. So, you know, continue to make these selections in tab 3. This is where all of these, work together. So, tab 2 and tab 3 are the media and receptors and the contaminants. And so this is where the vast majority of the information will be. And then the exposure factors you have to take into consideration in tab 4, and then tab 5 is results. So pretty straightforward. Just keep these in the back of your mind, and then now we're gonna actually go through walkthrough, as promised. So looking at working off of my scenarios, I can start off by maybe looking at 1. And see what is already existing. So there's one that already exists within here, and so you can kind of go to the next page, and then what you can do is kind of change the media type. So what I'm going to change this is into human milk. And you're going to get this, don't panic if you get this pop-up box prompts saying that editing this field will cause all subsequent selections to be lost. And honestly, when I see this, my instinct is to go and select no, but go ahead and select yes. So then media subgroup, you can do a selection. So you can do the total media subgroup, or lipid only. Receptor consumer type, not applicable. Gender, male and female. Define age bins. So let's create some bins, and there's some bins that have been created already. Birth to less than 1 month, and then 1 month to less than 3 months, 3 months to less than 6 months, and then 6 months to less than a year. So that's already been created. And if you want to actually change it around, and say you want actually the last bin to be 6 months to 2 years, maybe you want to look at a larger range, then you can change that to 2 years. And then save and close. So it seems like they're not really allowing that change, so because I think the binning will be then it won't work effectively. So let's just keep it at less than 1 year, and then move on to the next page. And so now we can be looking at the contaminant. As I said, we were going to be using formaldehyde, so imagine there's formaldehyde that's somehow getting in to the milk. So let's say that the contaminant concentration was 5 and milligrams per milliliter is the unit, and then the data source doesn't really matter. We can take a look at the managing contaminants if you would like, and it'll take you and kind of tell you where we're going. Sometimes, and in this situation, it seems like there's not too much more information about this. So let's hit save and close and go on to the next page. And so let's take a look at what we have here in terms of this. So this actually gives you the ingestion rate. So the ingestion rate is 150 milliliters per kilo daily of the formaldehyde. So then it becomes 365 days per year. Exposure duration, and duration can actually change, and according to if it changes. So this one only looks at it as about maybe a month duration, but if you change the duration, then the ADD changes, and in the algorithm. So if we take a look at the notes, this has a lot more information on the rate. So it's worth your while to go over the notes, because it goes over like exposure frequency is EF, and then so if it's 365 days per year for all food and water ingestion scenarios, because the data used in estimating ingestion rates for these media are assumed to represent average daily intake over a year. So exposure duration multiplied by 0.5, individuals aged 6 months to 1 year. If you actually want more information on how some of this is derived, then you can also click on this link. And that can provide you with even more information about this. But let's go back to the tool. And so this was the final page, but I want, the reason I'm showing you all of the different clickable buttons is because I do want you to, as you're going through this, also explore some of these other areas so that you do a lot of learning as you're using this tool. So then we finally get to the results, and these values should yield some interesting results, and we surely have some interesting results. And so you can export this to Excel, and then provide kind of a submission of this. So if you change this around, so notice how the values change. Take note of this, just mentally. I want you to. The top number is 5.24 times 10 to the 2. So that's 524. So then if you're looking at exposure factors increasing, so instead of 0.1 years, we say it's 0.6 years. How does that change? So it's actually good that we did this, because it seems like if you do go back, you actually cannot go back and modify this value, because this is a calculated value. So if you do go back and modify, then your modification would have to be done here. So instead of 5, we can do 6, and then go on to the next page, and then these values change then accordingly, and then on to the next page. And so as you can see, these values have now increased. So you can do a kind of a nice comparison of as the concentration of the contaminant increases in each age group, what is happening to this value. You could kind of see, like in birth to less than 1 year, that changed. It increased to 629. So all of these you can kind of export. So just as a end note here, it seems as though the export to Excel feature is not as accessible as it may seem. So I would recommend against using the export feature, but you can indeed copy these values and then actually take these values and place it in Excel. So you can take these results, for instance, this column, and place it in Excel, or also maybe take a picture of this and submit that as a file. Thank you for listening.